it is.
Oh my God. Can't even have.
Stupid
I'm done.
catacombs.
We're good?
Okay, so obviously I called this meeting this morning. I just told you guys that I wanted to get some stuff off my chest. Loyalty is very big for me. You know, I pride myself on honesty when I'm outside of the house and when I'm in the house. You know, that doesn't change. It's very hard for me to look people in the eye and lie to them. That being said, Ryan, my first day here that I came in, it seemed to me that the house consensus was to put up Hamzy and Andrew on the block and send Andrew home that week, including you as that consensus. Recently, you have tried to flip the house a little bit in terms of sending Hamzy home this week and keeping Andrew, which is the exact reason Andrew's on the block for what he did to Ali last week. Can I just finish though?
Okay, I can explain my thought process and I'll do it right in front of Hams to his face.
Well, that's why we're doing this.
I'm happy to do
we
it.
Don't
That's
think
fine.
You're gonna, that's what we want.
No, it's okay. Sure, I'll throw it right out there.
Can I just finish though?
Sure.
So that's what you did to Ali last week.
I didn't do that to Ali last week.
Or sorry, I'm talking about that's why Andrew's on the block. So anyways, so that being said, the way that you're doing that, it seems, is letting certain people in the house know that they have targets on their back right now. So unless people are fake as fuck, I'm just curious, I'm sure some of the housemates are, who is coming to you portraying that they're threatened by people or worried right now? That's just what I want to know.
Every single person in this house sat in the room with me after I won HOH, and I asked you all the exact same question, right?
Right.
I asked you all the exact same question. Yep. Fast forward the game a specific amount of time, who would your targets be at that time? The vast majority of you gave me answers, and not for nothing, I've sat in that HOH room by myself all day. Anybody come in to talk to me today? Anybody actually think about, oh, I'm going to go see what Ryan's doing, see if I can include him in a conversation? No. So I'm a man without allies. And a man without allies in a game that requires bullets to be fired can shoot indiscriminately into a crowd. I told you all the reason. I told you, no, hold on.
Okay.
I'll let you finish. I told you all the reasons yesterday with Hams, the options between Hams and Andrew. I feel like you're a much stronger competitor. The will of the house collectively has been that there's a back-to-back week plan. Week 1, week 2. I asked the question whether or not it should be week 1, week 2. Because if you don't play your questions, if you don't ask those questions, it's not, you know, like I've watched this game and you all know how much I've watched this game, right? And I'm seeing what's going on, and I'm seeing, you know, there was a legitimate question last week. Was Ali more dangerous than Rosie from a long-term perspective? There were a lot of people that said, yeah, sure, Ali might be more dangerous than Rosie from a long-term perspective, but I sat down on day one with Johnny and I said Rosie over Ali, and that's what we made happen, and it was a unanimous vote. But the questions were asked. I'm not trying to flip the house on Hams. I'm asking the question. And I know, and I've told you that, man, like I've told you that face to face before I talked to anybody else about it, right?
And that's essentially
it's just a question. I'm not backstabbing nobody. And if you had asked me, does Hams know what you're saying? I would have said I've said the same thing to Hams, that he's a more dangerous competitor in my mind than Andrew is. So if there is a back-to-back week plan, the back-to-back week plan for me, the stronger player's Hams. So if you want to send two guys home on back-to-back weeks, the way you do that is you send the stronger of the two home first. And all the people that were involved in those conversations can remember that every single thing that I've done has been my word and my bond, and I haven't lied to anybody. So if you feel like I've lied to you, understand that hasn't been game. I'm not lying to your face. So it's not. I'm not flipping the house. I'm asking the question.
I think that's
and the house was collectively saying 2 people need to go in the next 2 weeks. So if the 2 people who need to go in the next 2 weeks, wouldn't you rather have the stronger one go first is the question I'm asking.
But I don't think anyone ever came up to you and told you that someone was a target because they're in a showmance or any particular
You can
reason,
believe what you want. The video will show.
or any particular.
And everybody sitting on the table knows, everybody sitting on the couches know who you told me. I didn't ask you because you were 2 days in. So you have an incomplete set of information.
I
and
do,
I appreciate
but
you trying to call me
but
out
I've
and
watched
throw a
you.
big-ass target on me, and that's fine.
I'm not trying to put a target on you.
Bring
I
it,
think people
but
do
nobody's
that themselves.
talked to me outside.
I feel like I don't need to do that at this point in the game, which is why I don't understand why that is even being talked about right now, because at this point in the game, for example, Andrew might be a better asset for you to go up against, but if I was on the block and playing in veto, I personally would rather have someone who might be a stronger ally to me. And to me, I think that when the discussions have already been made of who's going home, and you personally, you might say that you're not pitching to people, but when
I pitched hard. I threw Randy Johnson pitches.
Okay, but you told us that you weren't pitching, is what I'm saying. You said, I'm not trying to pitch you, but okay, now you're admitting that you pitched. So, okay, you're pitching.
No, I never said I wasn't pitching. I was telling people I need to ask the question.
You did say you weren't pitching yesterday at the hot tub.
Oh, I apologize then. That wasn't what I meant. I'm asking the questions. I'm not saying I have a preference. I don't. I'm asking the question. If Andrew's here another 7 days, great, man. He and I can hang out and talk about 80s wrestling. I understand that. But if Andrew was here, great. I can chat with Andrew. I say shit and I get fucking
I just think it's
blank
unfair
stares
that
from
Andrew's
everybody
on the
but
block
one
for a
guy in the
reason
room
right
who
now.
understands what I'm talking about.
But why wouldn't,
you know?
But like, but why is it okay for, like, why?
Because it's a game.
I know, but I'm just saying.
It's a game, and if you're not going to play it, that's fine.
But that's
and I'll
what I'm
stop
asking,
playing it.
But that's
I'll
what I'm
stop playing if
asking.
that's what everybody wants.
But that's just what I'm asking, is that, you know, in week 1, is that what's being done right now?
I'm not in week 1.
Are we planting Are we?
This might be
week
your
2?
week 1, but
Are we
this isn't my
planting-
week 1.
Okay, I'm not like trying to beef you right now. I'm just saying, I'm
Really?
trying to speak.
You called the whole house together to call me out singly.
What did you do? I'm not calling out singly. I just feel the most strongly about it. Anyone can speak up if they want to right now.
But maybe you could have had a conversation with me personally
You know what I
instead of,
mean?
you know, calling me out in front of everybody. You never took that opportunity. I've been alone in there all day. You had your shot.
I think it's less about the fact that it's like Andrew or Hams. I don't think it's about that. I think it's just planting the seeds of doubt in everybody's mind, where it's like, you're a target.
Yeah.
You're like, it just seems like after a collective discussion, everyone seemed as though you painted a target on their back to try to make them feel anxious. And I think that
I'm not trying to make you feel anxious. I'm letting you know how it is. Because nobody's come to me and said, don't let me know how it is.
But that's not, I don't think it's
So
less about
wouldn't you rather know? Wouldn't you rather know? Wouldn't you rather know?
That's why we're asking you who said it. We do want to know.
I feel like
We would
just
love
went
to
up
know.
We
every
do wanna
single
know.
person
No,
was
that's part of
you're
the
a target,
game.
you're
Is
a
every
target,
single
you're a target,
person
you're
think
a
I've told them
target,
that they were a
you're target.
threat? Has every single person, can every single person say, absolutely, I came to you and said, someone is specifically after you? Is there every single person in the room that can say that?
Not someone specific, but you definitely said that I was
Yeah,
a target.
you told me I'm a target because I
think
You're a target. You're a target. You're a target.
Yeah, it's like you went to
So is that everybody, or is that specific people?
The majority of the
never
house.
said why.
Nobody's.
All we're asking Ryan is like, who, like, because we're all with us, obviously. Yeah, go ahead, MZ.
The point that he made, it's a valid point, honestly. Like, if you go in a competition, would you much rather go up against me or against him? Do you know what I mean?
But yeah.
Just when do I set the comps that
No, but they're like.
Yeah, all the way.
Hams does have a little. Hams is in my head. Hams has done very well in 2 comps, and I don't think you'd disagree with that.
They suck. But, I don't know.
Like I don't know.
No,
I'm not.
Yeah, it's not. That's not what I was.
On a
trying to
man
do.
with an island, like
I was
this
mainly
game is
just
what it
saying,
is, and
like-
alliances get built early. And when you're
just
on
don't like
when
that
you're on
he's
the
being
outs of it,
attacked for that.
I'm not here to fucking go home week 6.
No,
I'm
for
not here
sure.
to be the guy that's sitting there in the first one in the jury house, going stir crazy, waiting for someone to talk to.
I do
And at
think
the end of the
there's
day,
less going on than you think there is, though.
and if
Yeah,
that's the
that's
case,
for sure.
if that's the
Because
case,
you have such a
congratulations,
vast- but I
because
think
no
that's-
cast has ever gotten this deep without having something.
And I think that's just your vast knowledge of the game. It's like, because you know so much, and a lot of us don't know as much about the game as you do. Probably
Yeah.
none of us know as much about Big Brother as you do.
Yeah.
I will flat out say that. You
We
have the
all
best mind for
agree
this
with that
game
one.
in anybody in this entire house. And I feel like it's one of those things that it's like, maybe we aren't playing the same way that past contestants have. So just
Sure.
sit there, but I don't think it's that. And this is what I've talked to you about everyone today. I'm like,
And that's-
everyone got very anxious after their chat with you, being like,
Yes.
I'm not in alliance, fuck me, I must be screwed.
Yeah.
Because I think that's also what you're feeling, and that's what all of us had then, as a result, been feeling all week. But I think just collectively, also we'd like to just say it's not one lone man on an island.
Yeah.
It's 15 lone men on an island trying to build alliances. And maybe that's naive of me, and maybe this is the point where they roll the clip of everyone being like, let's get Erica out next week. I don't know. But it's just one of those things where it's like, I just would never want you to sit in your HOH room being like, well, clearly I have the most power in the house and no one gives a fuck to talk about me or like to talk to me.
Yeah.
And I would never want you to feel
I don't
that
have
way.
any power after noms go up. There's nothing left.
But
you
you
make
know
your
what I
nominations
mean.
and that's it.
But I mean, could you?
It's also on a personal level, right? Like I
Yeah.
know I'm at a spot where I'm joining a conversation. Nobody's joining me to converse.
But you
right?
started.
I
And
feel
there's
that way too.
I didn't say it was long before you walked in the door.
Yeah, I guess I don't know
had
what
Big
happened in
Brother
the first 7
experiences,
days.
so I know what I'm talking about. When I'm showing up in conversations, they're scattering. And to me, a scatter behavior in the history of the game and in the structure of the game means that I can't afford to have them around because something will slip. Which means, again, that shit is collective, and if it's not more than groups of 3 or groups of 2 or whatever at this point, that may be something. I'm not saying there's an 8-person alliance running around, but if you're not looking around the house individually and seeing 2s and 3s, may not be a plan, but there's no way you're telling me you're looking around this room and not seeing groups of 2 or 3. And is your 2 or 3 a group of 2 or 3, or is it a group of 6 because you're working with another 3? Those are the questions I'm asking because you know what? There ain't a 2. The only 2 I had, I put on the fucking block for nomination because the whole house came to me and said, you know what? We need to collectively go together because this is the way the house wants to go.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as I went the house's way and his name showed up on that fucking board, nobody's wanted to talk to me since. Not a one. I feel incredibly used. And so you know what? As somebody who feels used, as somebody who's not getting talked back to, as somebody who's not in the circle, fuck yeah, I'm going to fire. Because at that point, maybe you go, oh shit, maybe he's got some piece of information that we need to try and collect and we need to draw him in a little closer. Or maybe I do need to be a little more aware. I can't just sit and hold hands 12 strong week after week and we're all going to have a consensus target week after week because that's not how the game's going to break
That's
down.
what we're asking you though. Are you firing and planting seeds, or are you?
I'm not
actually
fired. I have
letting us
not
know?
lied to a single person in this game. If I came to you and told you that someone's name, that your name came out of someone's mouth, it's because your name came out of someone's mouth. Roll tape. That's it. If I came to you and said it came out of someone's mouth, it did. And if I didn't mention that you were a specific target, that's because you're not. And I got nothing but my word to offer because I'm the 40-year-old guy, and as soon as he walks out the door on Thursday night, I'm going to be 10 years older than anybody else in this house.
Yep.
And I watched what happened when the last 10-year-older player was sitting alone in this house. They got walked out the door. I know this game deeply, and that's full pitch. If you want, like, absolute pitch. I know this game very, very well. You got a 2 or a 3, I can be a very valuable 4. That's it. And I believe I've shown that to you. And I don't want I don't want anybody to believe that what I came to them with was to plant a seed of doubt. I don't want anyone to come to you and believe that I was trying to game you all against one another so I can just sit in the middle and scurry all the way to the final. I know I'm not getting there. But I certainly don't want to be a week 6 guy, because if you're going to take me away from my family for that amount of time, don't sit me in the jury house for a quarter of the money I make at home. Yeah. You know?
All right.
That's it. I'm not shooting unless it's been shot.
And I feel like it's good that you cleared that up because it did kind of seem like it was like, all right, I don't feel like I have an alliance. Other people probably do, and maybe pitting people against each other. So knowing that you are literally just trying to stand by your word and just spread the knowledge that you know.
I told you all I
and
wouldn't
also
lie
shake
to your
up the
faces.
game, and also shake up the
I'm
game.
not saying that that's going to last forever, and everybody knows that, and that's shit. If you didn't sit in the room with me and give me a little bit that maybe isn't the case this week, I'd be surprised. I feel like there's a lot of people who say, oh, well, we're not all that close with certain people, but that's the only people you sit and talk with. Come on. Like, I can see it, I can watch it, and the benefit of not being in,
I think we've all been good with rotating.
Some people rotate more than others, that's all. When 5 out of 6 conversations are with the same people. As the guy who's not talking to anybody, I sure as hell see a lot.
But you're in your room a lot, though, Ryan. Like,
Sure, I have
like,
been today.
We don't really.
I've been
like,
today.
We're out here, like.
Last week,
If you were sitting
last
on
week,
the couch, we would be coming in.
last week, if Johnny went and sat in his room, 5 minutes later there'd be a clump of people in Johnny's room talking to
The
Johnny.
other day we tried to come talk to you and you said, I will come get you when I'm ready, don't come to me. You said that the other day.
As a
We all tried to
single?
go in the
we were
room,
all trying to come.
Oh
make sure
yeah,
we were doing
when it was
okay.
pre-noms,
Yeah,
those
but we all were
HOH
trying
meetings,
to come talk
yeah.
to you. You're like, I'll come get you when I'm ready, don't
Yeah,
come
yeah,
to
yeah.
me.
Yeah, but that was because you knew I was going through the house one by one.
Yeah, but
that ended 2 days ago.
Yeah, but
Have you
a lot
tried
of
to
the
start a
time as well,
conversation
you're like, I'm
since?
gonna go listen to music by myself in the HOH room, and
I
I tried
have-
to see you the other
I
day. You're
turned
like,
on the
I need
iPod.
alone time.
Yeah,
When
that
you
was-
were
that
getting
was
emotional.
post-
So
that was-
it just seems this week you
There
want
was
to
a
be alone a
whole
lot.
lot. There was a whole lot in there that I haven't talked to a lot of you about.
Yeah, it
But I
just
mean,
seems
that was
more-
trolley problem for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
You
just
know,
seemed you wanted
regardless
to be
of
alone.
whatever it is, and I haven't said this to everybody, regardless of whatever the situation was that happened in that competition, and I know we can't get too deep into it, that was 100% on my shoulder. Because I looked a man in the face. Shit happens. That shit happens.
It's fair. Like, it's not like we're.
Well, no, but if you're content to not talk to me for days on end, and then I say, yeah, it's really weird that no one talks to me, and then you come talk to me, you're not coming to talk. You're only coming to talk to me because I said so. You're not coming to talk to me because
Well, you
I've
don't-
run out of other conversation topics.
Or
So
maybe
now Ryan's
like
the
people
angle.
just don't realize how it's making you feel, and so we want to come talk to you not because we feel like we have to, but because we didn't really realize how we were making you feel.
But it just is where it is. And when you feel like you're 100% alone, because there's no other player for me, right? The only other guy that I've had any kind of connection with is the guy that you all collectively asked me to send home, and I did that. And the reward for me for doing that has been complete and total isolation for me.
I feel like you
that why you
isolated
wanted the
yourself,
veto
Ryan.
used?
Yeah,
Game or like, or people actually.
I'm playing the
like,
game.
You know what I mean?
I'm
That's
playing
all
the
we wanted
game.
to know.
The game
So
is to
now
be
we
played.
know.
We can't.
Trust no
Everybody.
one.
Everybody didn't come in here to sing "Kumbaya" and hold hands and send unanimous votes all the way home, right? At some point, shit's gonna flip.
I didn't
And I
talk
feel
to
like
you.
there are people in here who think they're very comfortable, and I'm letting you know you're not. You're not as comfortable as you think. You're more of a target than you think. And it may be early and easy going to say, hey, you know what? And front straight out, there's a 4-week plan. There's a 4-week plan.
Or not.
So what's the 4-week plan?
Or
Right?
not.
And if the 4-week plan needs to change, then the 4-week plan needs to change, you know? But at the end of the day, where are we, right? Everybody you can all have a collective conversation about what I'm doing and what the game is, but, put it out there. It was a 4-week plan. Everybody wanted to stick to it.
We don't want to make it seem like it's the same thing. You didn't want to do a little dance with me. I didn't want to do it, so we just thought we didn't want it to be like you're sitting there, so it looks like we're all like.
I wasn't staying away from you.
Yeah, no.
I wasn't staying away from you. I brought you in there. I had a
I wasn't
conversation,
staying away from you too.
and
because
I
every
waited.
time
I
came to
waited
talk
for
to
more.
You told me pretty much to fuck off, Ryan. So I was waiting till I thought that you were approachable. But like I just didn't.
I haven't
think
talked to
that-
anybody for
I
2
didn't think
days.
this week you were in the right mind state to have chill conversations. Because all I wanted to do is know if you were okay, and you didn't want to hear any
I'm
of it.
fine.
I'm glad.
I didn't want to hear anything at that moment because I was dealing with a lot of other shit.
Yeah.
And all I got
We get
I
that.
got was, hey, this is what's happening with the have-nots. Well, I'm not a have-not. I don't care. Let them do
I
whatever
went
they
to
want.
talk to you earlier, and you told me not to talk to you, and then the big brother asked me to go.
Yeah, sure.
pass
But
the message to you.
after that moment,
So
I just
next
needed
time
a
they
minute.
ask me to
That's
pass
all.
a message to you, I just won't because I know that you won't want to hear it in that moment.
It just that was a pretty isolated moment. That's all. I needed time because again, in my head at that moment, everything that happened was 100% my fault.
It wasn't your
And
No, it
I
wasn't.
understand that. I understand that logically.
Yeah.
I understand that logically,
feel.
but emotionally, I can't separate that because whatever
even on myself. I just didn't know like where your head was at, if you were at a point where you
Yeah,
wanted to
it's
speak.
fine. Like I'm happy to have conversations with people. I talk to everybody for what, 7 straight days.
Yeah.
I was in most conversations, but as the days went on, when I got closer to conversations, they broke up. And I don't know, maybe it's because I stink, but like that when I got to conversations, they would break up. So that started to, okay, well then maybe I'm now a little less eager to join that conversation because something tells me that that conversation was just reforming in a different location without me. So why am I pursuing that? You know, why am I
Trust
pursuing
me,
that if I'm
no
going to
one
be
has
there?
been talking game at all. Like we've all just been chilling and
Maybe
shooting
not to
shit.
you.
Yeah, I guess maybe I feel
You have to take your own, you have to, you know.
Me.
I just want to say, fucking, like, outside the game wise, whatever. I don't want you to feel like that, man. Like, like after this, I don't want you to feel like
Yeah.
I almost to go up and have a chat with you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's part
Because
of
where
it's
I'm
part of
from,
the game.
the way I was
Part of the
raised,
game.
and
I
I
know
don't
what
want
it
anyone
is.
feeling left out.
anybody
Feeling,
in
I'm
that.
good. Like,
yeah,
I'm
no,
not
well-
walking around moping.
Yeah,
I'm
and-
playing pool because I want to play pool.
Yeah.
Someone wants to play pool with me, come and join me.
No, but
it's
I
not
don't-
like I'm not trying to isolate myself. I'm not allowed to leave the HOH
Yeah.
room with my music. I'm more than happy to talk to you in there, but I want to listen to some music because I only have 36 hours left before I have to give it back.
Yeah.
Well, it wakes up Thursday morning. The first thing that Johnny had to do was pack all his shit and get out of there.
I didn't
So
know
that means I have
Yeah.
the rest of today and all of tomorrow to listen to the music I have.
I
You
was
know,
unaware you were feeling that way, and I
so
truly
it's just
apologize.
it's not, you know.
Wasn't how any
I'm
of us were
fine.
making you feel.
I'm a grown man. I'm not really.
I'm a
I
grown
don't-
man too.
Like I don't have, you know, I don't have the 12-year-old girl emotions. I mean, like I really don't. Like I'm not worried about fucking who likes me, who doesn't like me, because I didn't come into the game as cliche as it sounds. And I'll just right into camera. I didn't come to this game to make friends. Because somebody says that every year. But like honestly, I like all of
I said it
you.
like 12 times already.
I like all of you. I'd like to hang out with all of you outside the house at some point or another. Any of you comes to Calgary, I got a room you can stay in.
Yeah.
But I didn't sign the paperwork and be like, you know what? 16 brand new best friends. I signed the paperwork to win $100,000, just like everybody else in here.
Totally.
So at the end of the day, like, you know, I apologize, I guess, for trying to play the game. I apologize for the. I apologize for the shock to the system for some people to realize that they have a target on them. But as somebody who has seen all the game, who's somebody like I thought about it the other day. I've spent over 800 hours of my life watching Big Brother. 800 hours of my life watching Big Brother.
You could have been like an expert
How many
pianist.
hours did it take to
It's a
figure that
lot. Not many. Quick
Priorities,
maths.
Erica.
Quick
You could
maths.
be like a,
I'm really bad
could be in a rock.
But you know what I mean? Like it's that.
No, it's
You know.
ingrained in you. You know
So
the game.
so
You know
I
the
walked
game
in
well.
here. I walked in here ready to play
Drawn out maths.
day one.
Yeah.
I walked in here ready to play day one.
And I think
I was
that's
waiting for
also
yeses to flip last week, and it has nothing to do with Ali as a person.
Exactly.
Has nothing to do with Ali as a person. But I looked at between her and Rosie. I'm like,
Yeah, we
I can
don't think it
outrun
has-
Rosie.
Yeah,
I can't
nothing
outrun
about
many of you,
Andrew
but I could
Ramsey
outrun
is
Rosie.
Yeah.
So I went,
them
oh
as a
well,
person.
you know, from a threat.
What I'll say too is
So,
I just
yeah.
think that like for sure, hands down, you probably know the game the best, but like a lot of us have watched either a lot, some, or very little of
Right.
the show. And it's one thing to watch it, it's a whole nother thing to play it.
100%.
You see the outcome when people play too hard,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see the outcome when people don't play at all. They get a little bit like lost or whatever. I think we're all just trying to find that happy middle.
Sure.
And we can't fault people for playing slower or playing hard or talking to 3 people, 5 people. We're all figuring it out. There's no right way or wrong way. You know, I think you're getting frustrated because, and Andrew definitely got frustrated because people weren't playing to the level of aggression that he wanted to play at, and now it's kind of like the
Yeah.
same thing, and you're having some remorse or regret because you're feeling a little bit like you put up your maybe,
Oh, I feel like hardcore used
Yeah,
at the moment.
so you know what I
you
mean?
guys know if I didn't have that kind of, hey, it's 10 against 1 feel, there's no way that guy's sitting on the block. There's no way that guy's sitting on the block because, again, when I talk, he's the only one who catches everything I say. And that's really comforting to have in the house, to not look around the room and just get fucking dead-eyed stares. Like, hey, and that's nothing, like, you just don't know the reference, and that's fine. It doesn't, like, it's not, but there's one guy in the corner of the room with a big old smile on his face.
Yeah.
You know, that, like, honestly, if I hadn't have felt, and the second that ceremony was over, that was the last time I had an initiated conversation with another house guest. I've initiated conversations, I've sat down, but nobody.
Yeah,
But the other thing I want to say on that, Ryan, is that
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
initiate conversations.
But
just like
Honestly, no, I've tried.
one last thing
Yeah.
too, but you just have to remember too, what you're saying about not being able to relate to other people, perhaps because of the age gap or whatever, that's a two-way street.
Oh, for sure.
You know what
For
I mean?
sure.
So maybe people are having a hard time feeling like you can relate to them too. But the other thing that I want to say is, like, I know you did something in good faith because you felt that that's what the majority of the house wanted, and you wanted to show that you were a man of your word, and you wanted to show that you were open to working with other people that weren't the people that maybe were looked at like as the bad or whatever the hell you want to call it,
Yep.
okay? But then what happened is you kind of panicked a little bit, as well as you know the game, maybe because you overthought everything. But when you plant a seed, the flower doesn't flourish right away.
Oh, I know.
So you planted a seed, you threw a little water on it, and then you freaked out because it didn't grow. You gotta like let time do its thing. And I think that what started freaking people out and kind of starting questioning you is the kind of over analytical logic games and such and such and such,
Yep.
right? So what I'm trying to say is, just know that we're not out to like get you or anything
Right.
of that matter. It's just that because you are so smart, people can't help but kind of question what's really going on in your head.
I don't feel, well, I didn't before I sat down here, feel targeted in any way, shape, or form.
No.
I didn't feel targeted by anyone. I was just surprised that, like, you know, because I can turn off my brain as well as Derek can turn off his face. It is what it is, and he can't stop it from being that handsome. I can't stop my brain from firing out, right? Like,
What an analogy. Love his head.
no, but you know what I mean? Like, I can't, it's no different from, you know, it's no different for me. Like, that's the way my brain works. And I like, because I'm in the position I'm in my company, you have to explore every single option. You can't make a snap decision because it may be the wrong one, and then you've got to recalibrate everything 6 months down the road, and that leads to a lot of uncertainty for employees. So for me, if you are not talking about your options, and I come from a place where we talk amongst our management team a lot and weigh a bunch of options, go ahead and think about them, come back, we'll weigh all the options, even if they sound like negatives at the moment. You have to figure it out, you know, and you have to see what is the best move to collectively move forward. So I don't, maybe my life experience has me, and where I am in my life is a different spot from most of you. And so, you know, like, I imagine that as a server, like, no, absolutely no offense intended, even though it could. As a server, I can't imagine that the chain is bringing you in to ask about how the business is going to run more smoothly. So it may not have been an experience that you've had before. And so for me, that's just how things go.
Yeah.
Well, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know whether you do or not. But for me, like, because I've spent 20 years building a career, to me it's, okay, let's have that management discussion.
Yeah, fair
let's
enough.
have the round table so that we can sort things out and make the best move collectively for going forward. So if I approach that in a way that shocked, I'm sorry for that. That's
Everyone
just
does
how
things differently. We
things,
just wanna
yeah,
sort
it's
it
just
out.
how things work in my life, right?
Yeah.
Is on fleek.
Exactly.
Right.
Talk to a bajillion people a
Right,
night.
because you spend all your time with assholes asking you whether or not this loaf of bread is gluten-free.
So it's just different styles of play. It's not like the game isn't being
Very
played.
true.
It's just different styles.
Yeah.
And I think we all just have to respect each other's style and just shut the fuck up about it.
And I get it that my style is dramatically different from the rest of yours.
It is what it is. And no one's dogging you for it.
I just don't want you to think that that should be a negative. Because in
No.
my life, you collect the people that do things differently from you, so that way you can approach the situation from a complete perspective.
We respect everyone's game. I think it's just this early on, we wanted to know, like, are these seeds that are these
Sure.
actual
Are these
seeds that are
real,
being
or are
planted,
these
or like you know, should we watch our fucking back? Like, you know what I
Or
mean?
yeah,
I've
that's
had.
what I wanted to.
If you feel like I've lied to you, know that I haven't. I haven't lied to anybody.
And maybe that's a conversation that like people can come to you separately
Sure.
and be
Yeah.
like, you know,
Sure.
let's hear some.
But at the same time, I've also been pretty good with the vast majority of you, and I won't say unanimously. I've been pretty good with the vast majority of you of not throwing someone else under the bus
When asked.
to you directly, even when asked directly.
Yeah.
If somebody said you were a threat, I haven't come to you and said, this specific person said you're a threat. And again, I can't say that universally, but it's not because I'm sowing the seed of doubt. It's because as the guy with nobody, I can't afford to kick anybody under the bus, because that might be the person that
think
comes to me
anyone can
tomorrow
right
and
now,
says, yep, we're doing this. And so I don't want it to come back later down the road that I kicked you under the bus in week 2. So I'm not kicking anybody under the bus.
I think that's why a lot of us felt awkward too, telling you who we would want at back door, because we don't want it to come back and bite us in the ass
Exactly.
either in a few weeks.
But again,
we're all in the